Well, hey, it looks like we're working flipping heck. You people aren't waiting for me, are you? Because I've just been to Tesco's and I got bloody soaked. Here in like Huntingdon, the flipping heavens open just at the point I needed to leave my van and go into the supermarket. And I'm telling you, the puddles in the car park were like that deep. And my £12 pair of F&F trainers are soaked. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Who is here? Tariq Pervez. Hello, Tariq. 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 We have a Tariq come down the garage every day. He has MOTs done. How do you know if your clutch is slipping? That's an easy one. If you slip it too much, you won't be going anywhere. But if you put it in, if you go up a hill and put it in fourth gear and put your foot flat down on the throttle, if the rev meter starts going up and you're not going faster, your clutch is slipping. You'll soon know. Zoltzer, hi Zoltzer. Hello over there in Finland. You can call me Sam or hi Sam. How are you doing, mate? I've owned a Focus Mark 1 1.8, 1.6 and two Mondeos, 2.5 V6 and ST220. ST220 is the only one I currently have. Your Mark 3 videos have been really useful. Well, thanks very much. I did enjoy the fact that I got the Dan's Mark 3. He let us work on it. I'm surprised he trusted us, but it was a pleasure to work on that because in all my years, we've never had an ST220. So that was really good, especially the driving bit. That was a nice car. There's something about them 220s and the V6. They're just but thank you, Sam. Vivian Hughes. Hi, Vivian. Hope you're all well. Yes, doing great. My Mondeo Mark III front fog lamp lenses are constantly misted up. Is this a problem? Common problem. To cure, is it new seals or complete new units? Well, I presume somewhere along the line, somewhere you've got air getting into your fog lights. Generally, as speaking, I would say it's the back cover that goes on. It's not sealed properly, or you've got a little hole in the lens somewhere, or the backing of the lamp. They've got to be sealed. It's the same with headlights. You've got like covers on them to stop the air getting in and the dampness getting in. Otherwise, they'll just condensate up. So there's a leak there somewhere. It's just a case of maybe someone taking them out and having a look. If you find any holes, you just have to seal it all up. Kevin Ruff, hi Kevin. What is your favourite classic Ford? It's one I've never actually had. Mark 1 Cortina, I wouldn't mind one of them. You see, back in the day, people used to do these cars up really nice. They used to see a lot of them on the road. Even the Mark 2 Cortina. I had a Mark 3 Cortina, but the Mark 1 Cortina and the Mark 2 Cortina, they were like highly desirable back then. And they're sort of like, I really like them, but the trouble is back then, it was never able to afford one. And you've probably got little chance of getting one nowadays because the ones that are out there are worth a bloody fortune. Raraz? Hello? Mondeo Mark IV antifreeze in tank became below minimum on bottom of tank after run for 20 minutes and hold same level. Return pipes all clear, no leaks, engine oil clear, no smoke, water pump changed last year. If your water's leaking, if you've got a leak, if your water is dropping, you've got a leak somewhere. And if you can't find an external leak, you have to look hard. Sometimes they put a pressure tester on your expansion bottle and pressurize the system to see if there's a leak. But sometimes it can just simply be your radiator cap or your expansion bottle cap, the seal or that is leaking, or the valve in there is weak and it's steaming past the cap and you can't see it. sorry guys, I need to be clicking on these so I can put the comments up on the screen. Blues X, that's a cool name. How are you doing? Have you had any trouble with the vacuum pressure solenoid on the Mark V 2-litre diesel engine? Mine comes up with error code 2562. Can you please shed some light on this? No, not yet. But I'll have to sort of like come back at some point and have a look at the code, because it's the trouble is we get lots of faults on these Mark Vs, but I only sort of like highlight on the common ones, and that's not one. There is one I'm going to bring up shortly, which is to do with the DPF temperature sensors. We're getting like a common one, but no, that's not one I've come across yet. But if I can remember, I'll come back to that and I'll try and look at it. Mohammed, hi. I have a Mark V and have a issue with the engine hesitates under boost only. Any lower or higher RPM, it just works fine. No boost leak, 120,000 miles. It's not many miles that it's done. Not something we normally come across unless you've got a faulty injector. I'd probably scan it first, see if there's any codes in the ECU. It might even be worth. It's a difficult one. It's not something I've come across. So I mean, it'd have to be looked at really to sort of like go into it. But it could even be an injector. The injectors don't normally play up on them cars until like more than 150,000. But as it's 120, it's possible. We've had some cars with lower mileage and the injectors will play up a little bit. Or that once again, a big problem on them cars is the EGR valve. If they're not working quite right, they can cause all kinds of problems. Finn Hogan, hi Finn, how are you? Greetings from Dublin. Woohoo! Hello over there. Terence F88. Hi Terence. Mark IV Mondeo 2-litre Peugeot engine malfunction, but I've no issue with the engine. You'd have to get it scanned. You'd have to get it plugged into a diagnostic tool, like a snap-on scanner or something, and read the ECU codes. Because if it comes up engine malfunction, there has to be something in the ECU where you would think so. Woody 8045, hi Woody. Manchester, hello up there in Manchester. Do you have any help with no GPS showing on 2009 Mark IV Mondeo sat-nav? No, because it's like any cars we've got of that age, they wouldn't have had a sat-nav in them anyway, because they were all like basic ones we've got. We haven't got like the higher models. I'm kind of guessing you could have a problem with the unit itself. It might even be a software issue. It might be worth sort of like googling your car and saying no GPS. So if you've got the problem, someone else has probably had the same thing, and no doubt someone's wrote about it on Google somewhere. But no, it's not something we've come across either. Nick Elliott, hi Nick. Just bought a 15 plate, high mileage Mark V power shift Mondeo. Should I be worried about fault code B, camshaft position timing over advanced bank 1, or camshaft position sensor A circuit? Well, the camshaft position A circuit would kind of point to possibly a faulty camshaft position sensor, but I've never had one go wrong yet. They're pretty safe. They don't really cause any problems. But the actual camshaft position timing over advance, I would say someone's fitted a cam belt. In fact, I can tell you this is probably gospel. Someone's fitted a cam belt and it's not timed up right. It's as simple as that. I can guarantee you, if I put the pin in the crankshaft and the actual pin that goes through the camshaft sprocket into the cylinder head probably won't line up. And I can tell you now, it doesn't take much. It'll take probably just a fraction out, and it'll either bring the engine management light on, or it'll flag up that camshaft code, because it's not correlated with the crankshaft properly. They've got to be in exactly the right position. That's why it's so critical to time these engines up right when you fit new cam belts. And I bet you that's what the problem is. But it's not a difficult thing to check it and sort of like put it right. Berberak, hi. Well, thank you, Berberak. I am a music teacher at a high school here in Sweden. Hey, if I had the chance, I'd move to England and begin as apprentice. I'd have probably retired by then. I can tell you something. I wish I could play a musical instrument, but I can't. So if you can play musical instruments, that's fantastic. You've certainly got a lovely skill there. Hi, Jordan. How's it going? When will you return to the Philippines? Jesus Christ, man, I haven't even been yet. I can't go. They won't let me in, will they? I'm a flipping COVID virus walking bloody God knows what, and I'm not allowed over there. They've all got sort of like a. Well, I reckon there's a lot of corruption going on over there. That's why they're dragging it out. But no, I've not been over there. I'm trying to get a refund on my tickets because the bloody travel vouchers are going to run out. So I just want my money back so I can sort of like wait it out. I'll just wait until the time's right, until everything opens up as normal again. If life ever does go back to normal, then I'll sort of like get on with it. Did you get the vaccine? No. They can keep the goddamn needles away from me with their poison bloody vaccine. All I can say is the people that are worried and want to take the vaccine, all by well, take it. But they're trying to push this shit on everybody. And it's not right. They're trying to push a vaccine on people that, for most people who understand, you've got an immune system. That's going to deal with this virus. I've probably had COVID 20 times over. I don't even know I had it. That's the problem. You've got so many asymptomatic people. And even if you take the vaccine, it's not going to stop you catching it and passing it on anyway. So it kind of defeats the object of taking the vaccine in the first place. But yeah, I'm going to have to take it eventually so I can travel. I'm not going to be able to get on an aeroplane, am I, until I take this bloody vaccine. But I think I'll just sort of like wait to the back of the queue first. Anyway, nice to hear from you, Jordan. I will catch up with you at some point. Susie B, hi Susie, how are we doing? Good evening to you. Hi Steve, thanks for the call. Here on StreamYard, it's like it only allows me to share a video file. Well, I don't have a video file, but basically on the EGR valve, it's got on the plastic part, the metal part, there's nothing on it to distinguish anything. The plastic part's got FOMOCO, and above it, it's got Citroen Peugeot. So I'm guessing it is made in France. It is a Peugeot part. Chris Hockin, hi Chris. Yep. Still kicking. Cheers, mate. Hope you're good as well. Gareth Shiner, how are you doing, Gareth? What do you think of the Mark II Focus? I've never really thought much about Focuses. I've never actually been a fan of Ford Focuses, but I guess they're okay. It's a case of trying to find a good one. They're okay. I mean, they're a reasonably sized car. They look all right. So most of the engines in them are okay. So if you find one that's been looked after, then if that's what you like, you see, this is the thing. There's so many cars out there, and there's so many people like different cars, and it's the shape of them. I mean, when I look for a vehicle, I go for a vehicle I actually like to look at, which a lot of you do. You like the look of the bloody car. So if you like it, then check it out properly, get it HPI'd and all that, and then get it if you really want it. Johan Vermeulen. Hi, Johan. Good afternoon from South Africa. I hope things have died down over there. I haven't heard nothing. But good to hear from you. David Dominic. Hi, David. Evening all. Cress in my house. Hello from Croatia. Way. Hello over there. We've got Martin Leader. Hello, everybody. Sean Oliver. Hello. Barry Jones. Do you think a Mondeo is worth buying these days? Love the car, but I want it to last for around 10 years. I could go on for hours. The problem is we don't have hours, but I do seem to find that the Mark 1s and Mark 2s, they tended to rust. The Mark 3s, not so bad, but they still did rust. Finding a good Mark 3 is getting more and more difficult, although there are ones out there. When you get to the Mark 4s, if you can find one that hasn't been abused, the bodywork seems to last ever so well on them. And the Mark 5s, they're just obviously non-issue when it comes to corrosion, because that is generally the biggest problem of these cars is corrosion. When they start getting rotted out, as cars used to do, that normally ends them. Everything else that's on them, unless it's a horrendous problem that's going to cost far too much, then you can generally get other things fixed as long as the body stays intact. But I kind of think if they're not making Mondeos anymore, in time they might be worth. If you keep them good, they might be worth a bit more later on down the line. If I'd have only known this years ago, when we all had our Ford Capris and Cortinas, they're worth a goddamn fortune now. Mind you, you'd have to wait a long time. Mastanza Ali, good evening. Happy to see you. Hi, hope you're doing well. Liam, hi Liam. Why do you talk about taxi drivers like they're subhuman? It's not generally intentional. It's just like a joke most of the time. I mean, they come in and give us a bloody... it's sort of like banter, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I just like to put it in the videos to sort of like make it like... You kind of understand, don't you? Martin Leader, my 2011 plate Mondeo battery original finally gave up when I put a Varta F18 today. Well, was it cheaper than a genuine one? That's the question. Adam Cowell, how are you doing? I'm doing excellent. Outdoor Adventurer, how are you doing? How long will my clutch last in my 2-litre petrol Mondeo? It's got 93,000 on the clock and I'm the second owner. I'm not too sure on the petrols because most of the ones we've got are diesels, and it all depends who's been driving it. It all depends whether it's been driven around town or whether it's been driven on the motorway. So sometimes you can get, you'd normally say a clutch would normally last under normal run of things about 150,000 miles on a mid-sized car. So as long as it feels okay, I mean, it shouldn't be biting like high up. It should be biting sort of like about a third of the way on the lifting the pedal up. So I mean, if it feels all right, I wouldn't worry too much. Mondeo, daft as a brush. How you doing, Mondo? Chief Egg. Have you rang Moni yet? No, she's at the actual gym. She goes to a gym on Wednesday. But we'll get her sooner or later. I'll work out sometime. If she does pass this way, she will drop in though, but we'll see. Right comment. Hello. Late to the party. I wouldn't call it a party. Mustansa Ali, I'm driving Mondeo Hybrid plus petrol 2018. Any tips for my car, please? We've only had one hybrid Mondeo, and that was the American version. I've not really had much to do with the hybrid, nor nothing really to do with the hybrid side of things. But it was the only problem that car had that we dealt with, had a flat battery. It'd been sitting around. But I think it's just the same as any other Mondeo, apart from the hybrid side of things. Could be a bit complicated if it went wrong. But can't really give you much advice on that. We just haven't dealt with any hybrid cars, especially Mondeo ones. But all the ones we have seen, and the people that come in with them, they've been like fine, no problem. There was just one guy who come in with a Lexus. He was telling us that it was like £5,000 for the battery, and he goes that will probably write the car off eventually when that battery eventually dies. But I mean, I don't actually know how long these batteries are supposed to last. I guess time will tell. Carson Andre, hi Carson. Opinion on the ST170. They were pretty quick cars. Flipping heck. Yeah, I remember them. If you can find one that ain't been abused too much, they were pretty quick. Yeah, nice. Rent-A-Cars Ruby, Mondeo Mark IV 2-litre TDCi, no power to the injectors. Have you had this problem before? Have changed the injector lube, but no joy. If you've got no power to the injectors, it doesn't mean to say that, I mean, it could be an ECU problem, but there are certain things that might not be working that could cause the ECU not to give the power to the injectors, if you know what I mean. The problem is you're going to have to get it scanned and see if there's any fault codes, because it could be a whole host of different problems. But you can get these little node kits that they put across the injector wires. You can plug into the injectors, crank it over, and see if the nodes flash, the little LED sort of thing, see if they flash. It could be something quite involved. It could be a blown fuse somewhere along the line. But I wouldn't condemn the ECU, because there's other sensors around the engine that are all sending signals to the ECU, and if certain things aren't right, like here's an example. If the I take it, yeah, TDCi, if you've got a serious lack of fuel pressure, the ECU is going to see there's not enough fuel pressure, so it's not going to send the signal to the injectors to make them work anyway, because there's no fuel pressure, which means you've got a fuel pressure. You're probably best doing a leak-off test and checking your fuel pressure first. That's just an example, but you see where I'm coming from. The ECU is only going to feed them injectors if all the other systems are working properly, connected with them. Matthew Gummer, is that you, Matt? St. Neots? Because I know a Matthew Gummer. I don't know. Maybe you're someone else. I don't know. But anyway, brilliant. Yes, it's going great. Thank you very much. Ethan Carpenter. Hi, Ethan. Andy Cale. How you doing, Andy? Saddle Saw Budget Bike Rescue. Hello. I ride a bicycle. Any idea when I need to change the cam belt? Yeah. I'll tell you what, I need to ride a bike. I would discover muscles I never knew I had. Moto Kirik, hello, how are you doing? Martin Leader, hit that like button. Nice to see you. Nice to hear from you. I think I have a leak. When it rains, my bicycle gets wet. Yeah, I got wet tonight getting out my bloody van. And I didn't just get wet, I got a complete flipping shower. Mind you, I suppose it saves on water. We're getting a shower at home, doesn't it? Mustansa Ali, please, brother, make some video for Monday. I don't know. We don't have any hybrids. I can't make a video for something we haven't got. If I did have one, I would do it. That would be quite interesting. If something does come along, I'll certainly give it a go. Gareth, hi Gareth. I have a Mark IV 2-litre TDCi. My car has started mooing. What is it, a cow? From the engine bay. Any ideas? Runs fine, but makes the noise each time engine powered down. I have no idea. I would have to hear it. I would seriously have to hear it because there's so many noises you can get. And don't know. If you ever... Hang on a minute. Nothing. No, I don't know. You'd have to take it to a garage and get someone who knows what they're listening for to listen for the noise. Hi, Siad. How are you doing? Nice to hear from you. Zoltzer. Woo! I'm not sure I can do that. Hang on. Get my finger down. There. Johan Vermeulen. My first car was a 1977 Ford Cortina Mark IV 2-litre GL. What a nice car. Flipping right. Mark IV and Mark V Cortina. They were the square ones. I remember them well. Never owned one, mind you, but they were nice cars. Yeah, excellent. What it would be like to have one of them cars today. Max Mingozzi. How did you manage to convince your boss to get on board with you making videos at work? Was he initially open to the idea? I think most of the time he's okay. I think he's kind of like, he's always been a pencil and paper man, but he's like, these days he's more and more got into computers and understanding how computers and networks and websites and things like that can help. So it makes me laugh actually, because he's getting quite technical. So I never thought I'd see it, but no, he's pretty much okay most of the time, as long as the work gets done. The important thing is getting the work done. The video sort of thing is just like, it's just a sideline when there's nothing. I'd rather make a video than sit around doing nothing, especially if you've got nothing to do. It just keeps me busy, and plus it keeps us sort of like, keeps us laughing, gives us a bit of fun to do. My Mondeo is still going good after cam chain and EGR valve job. That's good. That's what you want. Saddle Saw, but poor Alan, his chats have turned into a car clinic. This is 2 hours of giving my mouth a workout. There is actually, the trouble is there's so many comments, and I want to answer the comments, but there are things I would like to talk about, but I don't know whether I should. A life with ADHD brain. Hi, Alan. All good, brilliant. Blonde Man 69 Triple X sniff test for HDF. Kevin Gruber. Hi, Kevin. Have you ever had any issues with humming the noise, sawtooth wire wear on the Mark IV? Humming the noise, sawtooth tyre wear. I don't know what that is unless it's the cords coming out your tyres. You'd have to sort of like emphasise a bit better there. Jussie Tenderman, do you see any problems if I like disable EGR Mark 5 Mondeo? Yes, I do see problems. I don't think you can. It's not going to be an easy thing to do. Straight away, you're going to get an engine management light on. There are certain EGRs that you can disconnect and you can just blank them off and do without them. This EGR is not one of those simple ones. So I certainly wouldn't be disconnecting it. I would, and they're not that dear, to be honest. They're not difficult to change and they're not really that dear. So if it does go wrong, I'll just change it. I know they're a pain, but because of the electrics on it and the way these are built, it's like I would rather keep them working. Because I'm damn sure they will be giving you engine management lights and it'll be going into limp mode if they're disconnected. Lane Hogger, if you had to choose 180's all-time favourite song, what would it be? Oh, flipping heck. I can't remember now. Was Nina's 99 Red Balloons in the 1980s? I used to like that song. I really don't know. Let me put that one on ice. The trouble is, I listen to like a set songs these days, and it's like I don't even know what year they're from now. Dave, hi Dave. Pete, good evening, Pete. And it looks like I'm getting miles behind again. Mr. Sonic Advance. Hi, Mr. Sonic. I changed the cabin filter today on an Octavia 3 and it's hidden behind the glove box, which is a pain to refit. Why do car makers do this? Well, the Mark 5 Mondeo is behind the glove box as well, which you've got to take out. And the Mark 4 is flipping up the back of the heater. It's flipping a pain to get to. There's quite a few pollen cars that pollen filters are a right absolute nightmare to get to. I don't know why they do it. It's probably an afterthought. They think, oh, shit, we forgot about that. Greetings from Norway. Well, hello there in Norway. Evening, Alan. Rapid Man. Hi, evening. Good evening to you. 09 plate 1.8 did 420,000 miles before throwing its wet belt. Is that a record? It flipping must be, because I've never known a wet belt to do that kind of miles. They normally go just after 100 or just before 100,000 miles. Mohammed, I have scanned it and it shows two codes: ability of injection pump to regulate pressure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that principal relay, but that's what it sounds like. Injection pump, something to do with the fuel pressure. So I'd be sort of like, you'd have to get live data up on this, get one of them scan tools plugged into your car that shows live data, so you can crank it and you can measure the fuel pressure if it will read it and see what kind of fuel pressure you got. If you've got zero fuel pressure, then you need to start look into that, why you've got zero fuel pressure. And that could be a host of things. Generally, it could be a faulty pump. Paul P. Hi, Paul. Mondeo 2-litre TDCI or 2.2 TDCI. What engine is better? They're both good. It's just that the 2.2 is quicker. You'd probably be, if you want a bit of extra speed, get the 2.2. But the 2 litre is like, they're one of them engines. If you look after them properly, they'll outlast the car. They'll live the life of the car. Very good engines, both of them. Marixa, love. Hi, Marixa. Hello from Turkish. Oh my God. That's something. Hello over there. Paul Smith, can I bring my Mark IV Mondeo up so you can check my aircon? Yep, it's not a problem. A lot of people don't realise, or unless you've been told, but with the aircon systems, you have to remove the oil and the old aircon gas to start with. You then have to pull a vacuum in them, which sometimes takes up to half an hour. And if you can pull there's a certain like limit of vacuum they've got to hold, and when they've reached that vacuum threshold, you hold it there. So if they start losing their vacuum, then they've got a leak. But if you hold it there for 5-6 minutes and all looks good, then you can regas them. And as long as there's no problems in the system, everything will work fine. But generally speaking, a lot of the time, you can have a small leak somewhere, and it's normally the condenser, which is the radiator in front of your coolant radiator. But yeah, I mean, say we can check it out. It's not a problem. Antibody test would help. Paul Murphy, hi Paul. 2011 S-Max, boot won't open, rear wiper stopped working, and third brake light stopped working. I'd say you have I'd say between the boot and the body, where you've got like the rubber, the wiring loom goes through like a rubber boot, you've probably got broken wires in there. That's what it sounds like. Now you've dissed the vaccine, YouTube will be messing with your lives. Well, no doubt, because you're not supposed to talk about these things, are you? You're supposed to just take your medicine and shut up. But no, I don't trust them. I don't trust them peddling this stuff that we don't need. If the virus was that bad, if I'd have got ill from it, I'd probably understand more. But it's like I haven't done it since this started. I haven't changed a single thing in my life. I just go out everywhere. I do everything normally, and I've not been ill. They just sort of like there's something going on, especially with that bloody Fauci in America. Have you seen what's been happening over there with him, that Fauci guy? You know, Dr. Bloody. That's that bloody White House scientist, doctor, whoever he is, funding. He's got some kind of organisation that's been funding that lab in China, in Wuhan. If you look into Rand Paul, who's been grilling him in Congress, Fauci keeps denying it, but he's been funding what they call gain of function, where they've been playing around with they've been playing around with animal viruses and trying to make them more infectious to humans, and it looks like for whatever reason it's got out. But they dismissed that lab for a whole year. They weren't supposed to talk about it, but now all of a sudden it's becoming oh yeah, it could have come from this lab. Anyway, I better carry on. Jerry, general view on electric cars. The jury's really out with me, because we've not had any that I can sort of like looked at properly. So I'm skeptical at the moment. Anything that runs on a battery, I'm skeptical of, because batteries don't last. And it makes me wonder what's going to happen in so many years. It's all right very well when these things are all nice and new and they're all working properly. But in so many years' time, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to the batteries that are all going to be dead? Because they ain't going to live forever. Who can the people who buy these cars second-hand afford to replace these batteries? There's a lot of questions over it all. How are they producing all these batteries? And it's like, I know that a lot of people just want to sort of like, there's an electric car, I just want to buy it. It will do so many miles. It will do what I need. If it does what you need it to do, then there's not a problem really, is there? If it's what you want. But I haven't had the experience or the knowledge with any of these electric vehicles to really give any kind of judgment on them. So if I do get to that point, I will. But at the moment, I sort of like, I can't really say either way. Rapid Man, where near Huntingdon is the best place to get welding done on a camper van? Talbot. And well, the main place that does that type of vehicle is Moe's Motors in Fenstanton. They do all sorts there, and they do all the motorhomes and all that. They do loads of them there. They're sort of, I think they're pretty much experts over there for them things. So that's what you want to check out. They're right next, just a fraction up from the clock tower in the middle of that Fenstanton village. Yam Dash Ken, hi, how are you doing? Road trip from Wolverhampton to fix my Galaxy. It depends what's wrong with your Galaxy. Hi Paul, my Ford Connect 1.8 TDCi has snap. What's best to do with it? Replace engine or get engine fix? Has snap. So I take it the wet belt has gone. Is it the wet belt or is it the top belt? I'd be surprised if it's the top belt that's broke. The problem is it's a difficult situation. It's going to cost you whatever way you look at it. If you get another engine, then you're still going to have to replace. If you get a second-hand engine, you're going to have to replace all the belts in it. And if you've got a wet belt, you have to replace that. And the wet belts aren't cheap. If you try and fix it, you're going to have to buy a wet belt anyway, and you have to take the head off, and you're going to have to no doubt replace all the valves and maybe a broken camshaft. There is no easy way out, well, no cheap way out of it. So unless you just get a dirt cheap engine and bung it in and hope it runs and sell it. It sounds expensive, whatever way you look at it. Yeah, wet belt snap. Wet belt, yeah. I should think it's probably, if you were to pull the head off, it's probably bent all the valves and also broke your valve guides. So if it were me, I'd just get another engine for it, because it's just going to be, I don't know what to say to you. Whatever way you look at it, it's going to be expensive. I mean, if you've got plenty of time, you could do it up bit by bit, but it's going to be a lot of damage and a lot of expense to put that right. Yeah, I can't be much help with you, mate. Depends how much you're willing to spend. Must be able to fit a washing machine in a boot and get a van. Colin Patton, hi Colin. Mark 5 Mondeo with 49,000. This is 6 years old. How long will the timing belt last if I never get to 125,000 miles? Would you change? I'll change it. They say most rubber timing belts, they'll say 10 years or 100,000 miles on Fords, that is. So you've still got a way to go. I mean, most of these rubber belts will do 10 years, no problem anyway. So I won't worry too much. Mohammed Ali Tirinik, how are you doing? Nice to hear from you. Blonde man, what's your opinion on dual mass flywheel to solid flywheel conversions? Don't do it. Just put a bloody dual mass flywheel back in its place. unless you like vibrating, it'll probably sort of like give you more problems than you had to start with. Don't even go there. Unless anybody has done this and can tell me differently. But I keep going back to the same case. We had a Mark III Mondeo, 2 litre TD Duratorque diesel. He bought a solid flywheel conversion and we replaced his dual mass flywheel with a solid flywheel that he bought off eBay. And 2 weeks later, he brought it back and he said, please just put the dual mass flywheel back in it. I cannot live with all this. It was too harsh. The engine, the vibration, everything was so harsh and he couldn't live with it. Smiley Riley, good evening. I have a Mark IV Mondeo 1.8 TD. I said, yeah, I believe it needs new injectors. Do you have to code sync them to work? On the 1.8, so I don't think I ever have. I don't think you do. There's a possibility you do have to, but all the ones I've ever fitted in the 1.8s, I'll never have. They just start up and run once you fit them. I don't think you do. I think it's the later ones on the Peugeots you do. Martin Leader, I don't know how much a genuine Ford battery is for the Mark IV, but I paid 83. Yeah, that's not bad. I can tell you what they are on a Mark V. Anything from 160 upwards. I think with a start-stop, they're about 250. I'll have to look into that, actually. They ain't cheap. The price seems to go up significantly if you've got start-stop on your car. Balber Singh, hi Balber, and enjoy your videos, especially with Monica. Yeah, we do like making up little scenarios. Julian Chambers, hi Julian. Mark IV Mondeo 2 litre TDCi estate with 57,000 miles. Question is, do I change this up to a Mark V now they have stopped manufacture, or keep my Mark IV? That's entirely up to you. You see, if you listen to me, you would buy a car and keep it forever until it literally has to be changed. Because, but if you want a nice car and you've got the money, you know what they say, you only live once. So you need to go and get the things you want in life and do the things you want to do. So it's your own personal decision. I would, that you're going to have to make your own mind up on that one. But there again, if you've got a Mark IV with 57,000 miles, bloody hell, it's hard. It's not even run in yet. Me personally, I would just keep the Mark IV. But once again, if you've got money and it's not a problem, upgrade. Max Mingozi, you take great pleasure of chucking knackered parts in the bin. Can you not recycle a lot of this? We do. You've got to understand, a lot of these parts, if they're metal, when I fling them in the bin, it's for the video. I then have to sort of like crawl into the bin and fish them out again, because we have a scrap metal pile, and we have the blokes who come round and they collect all the scrap metal and the old batteries and stuff like that, especially catalytic converters, DPFs, any old flywheels and brake discs. All of that gets recycled. It gets given to the scrap man. They go and weigh it in. So anything that's metal doesn't stay in that bin. It does actually get recycled again. But like I say, the flinging stuff in the bin, it's just for the video. It's nothing more, just for a laugh. Bestian from KWHBSN. What do you think about replacing a dual mass fly with a normal one to save money? If you're talking about a solid fly, well, I've just said that. I wouldn't do it. Put the proper flywheel in. Just put the dual mass back in it. Unless anyone can say differently, I wouldn't put a solid flywheel in it. Cause you problems. Susie B, hi Susie. I use 4scan with a generic OBD2 reader. Yes, I was talking to someone last week. I've actually got to sort of look into that myself. I mean, because I don't bother with that because I've got like the snap-on scanner, but I understand that 4scan is got an awful lot of functions. If you just pay for the subscription, I mean, the amount of stuff you can do in it is mind-blowing. And all you need is a few simple things: buy your subscription and buy the OBD reader. So yeah, it's certainly a really good piece of software. Russ Castile, have you ever come across ECU not sending a signal to turn on cooling fan? Not off the top of my head, but once again, it's if you need to sort of like there's more chance of it being a broken wire somewhere than it being the ECU sending a signal out to the cooling fan. So trouble with a lot of these electrical problems, they can be like mind bending trying to work them out. But I haven't actually come across that one with a. Yeah, you'd have to get someone to look at it who's like electrically minded on cars, really. Matthew Gummer, it's true it took 2 surgeons 8 hours to remove Kev's jacket. That is you, Matt, isn't it? It's an old joke. It's someone we know wears a green flight jacket. I mean, he never takes it off. He actually doesn't work here no more. He left. He's gone to work in I forget where it is now. Somewhere by the sea. Somewhere probably a lot nicer. Anyway, how are you doing, Matt? Simon Green, hi Simon. Started watching you when you had the ST220 on the ramp. Loved every video since. Shame you didn't have a ST220 further videos on maintenance, as it's very helpful. Yeah, well, he wouldn't let me keep the car. That's the only problem. We had it for about 6 months, you know. Even the boss was beginning to ask questions. Is this car ever going to leave? But no. If when cars like that come along, it's sort of like we don't normally take jobs like that on. It's only the fact that he phoned me up probably a year before he even brought the car to us and said, would you fancy if I just left this car with you for God knows how long, would you be able to do the whole list of things I've got that I need doing? And I kind of said, yeah. So when the time come and he did ring up, I was like, oh, he really does want to bring it. So I thought while it was there, I'll get the camera out. And I'm glad I did, because it was worth it. It was worth doing. It was very interesting for me as much. That's why I try and record certain things that I can when I get the time to do it. But yeah, if another one comes along, I'm always on the lookout for these situations. And in actual fact, these days, I'm always on the lookout for something a little bit odd, a little bit quirky. So if anything does come up and I get the chance, I will do it. But yeah, cheers for that. Performance World, do you have a Mondeo Mark 4.5 driver side wing mirror spare? I'm not sure we do. We might actually have a Mark IV mirror. I think I've seen one kicking around upstairs in our parts. We've got loads of old second-hand bits. I'm not sure what it's for. I'd have to have a look. It's a possibility. I've got so much stuff in our stores. If you're ever passing by, drop in. I'll have a look for you. Any ideas why my front washers on my Mark IV Mondeo won't work, but the rear does? Well, it's one pump with 2 outlets, and it's like got a valve in them. So it could be the valve that's faulty, not allowing the water to come out one way. You're probably best if it's coming out. It's obviously not blocked, but I should say it's got a faulty valve. If you know what I mean, you've got the washer pump and you've got two little pipes coming off the pump. So it's got a valve sort of. So if you can imagine, when you press the rear washer, it's not going to come out the front washer because there's a valve in there. It's probably a washer pump. It's all one sealed unit. Mark Burrows, hi Mark. Do you need any mods? No, I used to be a mod though. No, but funnily enough, you should say that, because Matt, who works at the garage, he's got a dongle sort of thing where he can actually, where you pay for, he pays for credits, and he can do mods like make your mirrors tip and tilt and all kinds of things like that. So, but yeah, that's quite interesting to know the things you can do. Yeah, I know what you mean, but no, we don't actually need any do. But thanks anyway. Russ Castile, flipping neck. What's up with the self censorship? Oh, I've just lost my Skull 5. I have a Mark 5 Mondale estate, but my pride and joy is a 33-year-old Mark 1 F-Reg Nissan Micra, totally original. Wow. Do you deliver pizzas in it? Is the question. I'm surprised you've kept that good, because they rusted out, didn't they? So you must have sort of like had it garage for a long time. It'll be a classic now. Time, Steve. Time is now 8:30. Well, it's 8:56 here. Let me see if I can zip through a few of these. I ate a clock today. I ate a clock today. It was very time consuming. That's a good one. I like that. How long did it take you to become a mechanic? I'm not a mechanic. I just bullshit my way through each day. No, you never sort of like, there's no end to it. There's no end. It's there's a million things out there. You'll never learn it all. You're not even scraping the surface of what's out there. You just, most mechanics just find their own little niche thing and stick to what they know. Hi Wayne, what have been thrown in the bin today? General rubbish is what I've been thrown in the bin today. All the old tea bags from our tea room. But nothing interesting. Corrigene 71. I am so confused in there a cam belt or a timing chain on a 2-litre blue HDI 2015 Peugeot Boxer. Sam as Mark 5. Is there a wet belt? Love it, channel. If you were in Ireland, I would. Good. Cheers, Corrigene. If it's the same engine as a Mark 5, it's not really confusing once you know. You've got a rubber camshaft belt, goes from your crankshaft to your exhaust camshaft. That is your main cam belt. The exhaust camshaft is joined to the inlet camshaft underneath the rocker cover. You can't see under there, via a little chain, and that's it. It's just like if you had two camshafts, some are cog driven, they've got cogs which intermesh to spin each other, but this is just a little chain. That's all it is. And if you change your oil on your car at the right intervals and everything, the chain shouldn't give you any trouble. Although on the Mark 5s, it is starting to sort of like, the guides are wearing out on these chains. But generally speaking, as I'm finding, around about 220,000 miles onwards. So if you've got kind of low mileage, you're never going to get to that kind of mileage. You should never have to worry about that chain. Just your general, just your main cam belt every 125,000 miles. LR88, I liked your video about the alternator on a Mark V. That's going back a bit. I can't even remember that one myself now. My car is on 120,000 and it's original alternator. Am I on borrowed time? You see, I love how you're thinking there, because you're probably thinking, well, I've got this trip to Wales coming up, and will my alternator take a shit on me halfway there? That's how I think. The simple answer to that question is, we have had alternators last a lot longer, 130, 140,000 miles. But I would generally say, if you get one of these Mark V alternators on the 2-litre diesels, if they do 140,000 miles, then you're definitely on borrowed time. So I would be kind of like, they're not. The trouble is they're not cheap. But I will say most of them, they don't pack up in the way that they stop charging. The actual overrunning alternator pulley that the belt runs on, they get noisy and they start breaking up. What happens to start with is they seize up, and your alternator belt is flapping around like that, and you can tell that easily because you drive the car, you'll know what the car sounds like, and they'll make a funny noise, and you'll notice that noise if you're aware of it, and that's the time to have a look at it. And if you see your alternator belt's flapping, then you need to change that pulley. The trouble is, if it's 120,000 miles, you're asking the question, is it worth changing the pulley or just putting a complete new alternator on it? Because you don't want it to fit a new pulley, then 10, 20,000 miles later, find out it stops charging and you've got to change it anyway. So I would, it's a difficult one. What do you do? If you've got the money, and what are they, like £350 for a new alternator? They're an easy thing to change. I can do one in like 10 minutes. But it's just the cost of it all. That's the problem. But yeah, they are 120,000 miles. You're getting close. Woody 8045. Mark IV 2009, 1.8 TDCi, head unit showing no job. We've been through that one. Don't know. Best cheap OBD, I don't really know, Vin. It's not something that I go out and buy because we've got a proper one which costs us an absolute fortune when we've got a Snap-on Ultra scanner, and it's on subscription base. The trouble is, all the car companies, to give the information, you've got to pay for it. So but I can't say about the aftermarket ones. I've never bought one, but I would say it depends what cars you're going to be working on. As someone mentioned earlier, if it's only Fords, then it'd be worth getting 4Scan and getting the OBD reader for that. Because if it's just Fords, you're laughing with that. You've got to download the software. I think you get a free trial with it. You pay a certain amount for it, and you get an OBD reader, and then you can do all sorts, anything Ford related. Hi Peter, at work in this sweltering heat. Where are you? It's not hot here. The sun's gone in. It's been pissing down the rain here, but it's not nice working in the hot weather. It's nice sitting at a cafe drinking a Coca-Cola in hot weather. Tommy B, hi Tommy. Can I bring my Mark III Focus to you and we get set it on fire? I got no end of problems with it. You know, we have a lot of Focus problems. We've got some Focuses, and generally speaking, a lot of the problems that can arise on them is from the instrument pack. They can cause all sorts. But we've had a few Focuses, and it's generally been electrical problems we've had on them. there's wiring blocks. If it's, I'm not sure if the manuals are the same, but the automatics that we've got, there's 2 wiring blocks that run on top of the gearbox underneath the battery, and they get broken wires. But this is the trouble with some cars. You get a car and you get nothing but bloody grief with it. I've had the same problem with a bloody car. It kind of puts you off. Christian Bow, hi Christian. I have a Mark IV 2-litre TDCi with fault codes, glow plug circuit, heater, and control circuit. I changed all glow plugs and controlled relay plus wires. Codes still come up. Not really sure. We've not actually had any glow plug problems with them, with the Mark IVs. So, but when you say you changed the glow plug relay, I take it that's the relay by the expansion bottle, the little metal thing. Did you get a new one, or did you get a second-hand one? Because, you know, it's quite often we get parts that we get a cheap one because you don't want to spend the money, and it ends up being no better than the one we've just taken off it. But yeah, it'd have to be looked into. Keep to mechanics and awesome videos and away from conspiracy theories. Well, I don't go for conspiracy theories. I just say what I think. And if I think I don't need a vaccine for a virus that's not going to make me ill, then I'm not going to take their vaccine unless I really have to. This is just the thing. I'm not sort of like going on what other people were telling me. I'm going on what I actually see myself. And but this whole coronavirus thing, it's been totally blown out of proportion. They're making it out to be such a bad virus, but I ain't seeing it. Mr. Sonic Advance, you are right on the money. I'm just waiting for the vaccine to get full approval. Not much to expect from drugs being injected into me. Well, the problem is a lot of people just want to take the vaccine and get it out of the way. Some people want to travel, want to go places. So, I mean, fair enough. Some people are just worried that they don't want to get ill. Some people are in that group where they are vulnerable, and the vaccine is going to sort of like make they're not going to get ill from the virus. It's going to help them stop them from getting ill. But someone like me, I live a fairly healthy lifestyle. I'm not bothered by this virus in any way. I was to start with at the very beginning when nobody knew what the hell was going on, but now it's been over a year, and all I hear is nothing but one-sided bullshit. No matter what bloody, every time I turn the radio on, the news channels are coming on. It's the same old propaganda. They're pushing and pushing and pushing this on you, trying to brainwash you into all this corona bollocks. So it's like, I don't trust a vaccine that's taken a bloody year to make, when most vaccines take about 10 years to make a safe vaccine, because people are different and everybody's got different metabolisms and God knows what. So it's like, that's why I won't take it, because I don't see the point. I don't see the point in taking a vaccine for something that I'm not going to get ill from. And I can understand, and I'm saying, well, if you take the vaccine, it's protecting others. How is it protecting others when they clearly come out and say, if you take the vaccine and 2 doses or whatever it is, you can still contract the virus even if you're asymptomatic, and you can still pass it on. So it defeats the object of taking it in the first place. So anyway, I could go on about this bloody. It pisses me off. This crap. I just wish it could go away. We should just get over it and move on to something else. We'll get it booked for the AC. May even find out where I know you're from. Not far from you anyway. Okay, no worries. Hi Wayne. First video I watched was on the wet belt. Followed you since that video. The Mondale especially should have your own garage if Steve sells. Yeah, that wet belt one was that was the one that actually started it off, because when I should have been starting videos, which was back when we were changing the wet belts, I never had a camera. I'm not even sure YouTube was going back then. I don't think it was. It might have been, I'm not sure. But it's only one day I thought I just fancy talking about that, so I had nothing else to do, and it kind of like went on from there. Fingalsham, you must have been vaccinated against polio and the others in childhood. These have only made your hair fall out. Yes, you see that. See, the vaccines I've had already have made my hair fall out. The funny thing is, until this corona come out, I wouldn't have even questioned any vaccines. It's like last March, I had 2 jabs in one arm and 1 jab in the other arm because I was going away. And it's like, yeah, you've got to take your jabs before you go against bloody rabies and this, that, and the other. And I didn't even question it. It was like, yeah, this is the normal thing you do. But since this corona's come out, it's like it's made me think a whole lot differently. I don't knock a lot of the vaccines that are out because they're all tried and tested, and the data's all out on them. I just don't trust an experimental vaccine that they're pushing so hard for the entire world to take that certainly hasn't been tried and tested properly, no matter what they tell you. All you hear these days is lies on the bloody radio and everything. It's all propaganda. I don't listen to any. Whatever they say, nowadays, I think the opposite. So if they say look left, I'll look right. Hi, Mick. Winter heater on lights, wipers. No comprende. Yam yam. Slight knocking noise coming from passenger front. Mechanic round here says nothing wrong. I suspect strut mount. If that's a Mark IV, is it a Mark IV? The shock absorber rams, they do knock on, especially on light rough ground. Rapid man, I remember Moe's. Yeah, we used to take quite a few vehicles to Moe's, mate. Anything that was bigger that we couldn't fit through our doors we'd take to Moe's Motors. They're ever so good there. Colin Rennie, hi Colin. Mark III Mondeo ST Derv rear calipers sticking. Replace of can they be fixed? For what they cost, I'll just replace them. I think they're pretty cheap these days. It's just not worth trying to get involved in fixing them. I guess they can be fixed. If you're very, very technical, you can probably take them apart and fix them, but I should think something's worn out inside them. But yeah, I think they're pretty cheap nowadays, so you might as well just buy another one and bolt it on. It'd be so much easier. Pedra Silva, hi Pedra. My 2016 Mondeo only blows cold on the drives. Yeah, I think I had this one last week. We have got a car with the same problem. I know exactly what you're saying, but I haven't actually spent any time looking at it yet to try and find out what's wrong. But I'm kind of gathering there is a motor either side on this climate control, and one of the motors isn't working, opening the flaps to allow the hot air through. That's what I'm kind of thinking is wrong. Unless there is a software update, which could even be the problem on these. I'd probably check with your Ford garage first to make sure there isn't no software update to do with these heaters, because they might well be. I'd check that first. If not, then it'll have to be looked into. But I can't give you an answer at the minute because I haven't actually got to the car that needs fixing that we've got. But if I ever do, then should this question ever come up again, then I'll know the answer to it. Alan Sim, hi, how are you doing? Do you absolutely need the special forward bearing press kit for front wheel bearings, or can you get by with a universal kit? Well, I've never used any kind of special kit to remove bearings. We just have a big box full of old bearings and sockets and God knows all kinds of things, and we make do. I mean, as long as you can get the bearing out somehow and fit it back in somehow. We've got a 30-ton press, so I mean, a lot of it. I mean, if it's just a one-off, it's not really worth buying a special kit. That's the problem, unless you know someone who's got it. We just use our press and anything to get them in and out. Yeah, Tommy B had to replace my battery on my Mark III Ford Focus with start-stop, and it cost me 350 quid. Yeah. Yeah, they're heavy-duty batteries and the starter motors. It's like, and they're twice the bloody price of a normal one. That's the problem. I'll tell you what, I don't even like that start-stop. I don't trust it. I just get the feeling one day you're going to come up to some traffic lights and it's not going to start again. I'd switch it off if I was you. It's like, unless you like it. Yeah, it's a bit of a swizz, really, isn't it? You're paying twice as much what you pay for a standard one. Don't blag the blagger. Mark IV steering rack failed, and dual mass flywheel failed at 60. Though 2008 Ford, a nightmare. Yeah, I haven't had many Mark IV steering racks fail. I've had one or two. The one I did have fail, it would have power steering if you turn to the left, but if you turn to the right, it was really hard to turn. But 60,000, I say that's 60,000 miles. That's really low. That's bad. Fingelsham, I like your keep it forever. I have a Mark III 2005. I keep my vehicle, my rusty old Vito van, because it's not that I keep things forever now. It's the fact that when I was younger, I have gone out and I've bought nice-ish cars. I've never owned a new car, but I've always sort of like tried to have a nice car, if you know what I mean. And I've had quite a few cars. It's just that as you go through life, sometimes situations change, and the car is all of a sudden is not your priority. And when I bought my van, which I mean, my van cost me like $8,500 back in 2006 when I bought it, and I've still got it now in 2021. But I keep it because I needed to spend my money on other things. It was just my life had changed, sort of thing, and I couldn't fling any money at another vehicle. And it's like now, I just want to go away. I want to spend my money going on a holiday or something. Well, I did try, but Corona bollocks sort of like ruined that. So, but no. It all depends what you want in life and what your personal situations are. It's like if you can afford to go out and buy a brand new car or have a real nice car, and that's what you want, then go for it. It's whatever your situation is. But I just keep that van now because it's like I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I don't need a flash car. So. Maybe one day I'll wake up and I'll think differently. When that day comes, I'll let you know. Martin Leader. Battery's expensive. Silly question, can start-stop battery be started off a normal battery? Yeah. Yeah, stick some jump leads on it if you have to. It'll still start it. Craig, 2012 Peugeot Expert, timing belt and water pump, easy to do. Anything to look out for? I think they're pretty straightforward. You can find the basic instructions for most of these things on the internet anyway. So no, as long as you can undo the crankshaft pulley bolt, that is the. If you've got the pins to time it up, and you can undo the crankshaft pulley bolt, that's the biggest problem you're going to have. You need a proper air gun or a really heavy-duty battery air gun. And I've heard on these Peugeot Experts, the bolts can snap. And then if the bolt was to snap in the crankshaft, you're in all kinds of trouble. But as I've done on my Mark V videos, if you've got your battery gun or whatever, and you've got on your crankshaft bolt, you're trying to undo it, if that bolt would appear to be coming out slowly, like it doesn't want to come out, then stop. Get your Black & Decker or whatever it is hot air gun and heat the head of that bolt up for a good like 5 minutes, and then undo the bolt and it will come out. Because what it is, he says, Loctite on the threads, and it can be like concrete trying to bring the crankshaft bolt out. And if you get a good bit of heat down that bolt, it will melt the Loctite and allow the bolt to come out. It can be the difference between stripping your threads or snapping the bolt. I got it. Need front tyres soon. I'm 19-inch tyres, but I don't want ditch finders. Well, that's all we have got is ditch finders. We go for the budget tyres. If you want good tyres, there's plenty out there, but it's a problem of you're going to have to sort of like look into the tyres and read up about them, because you've got like your Michelins are probably going to be your best bet, but they're going to be obviously like one of the most expensive ones you can buy. There's Avons, there's Continentals, Pirellis, but you need to find out whether it's soft rubber or whether it's hard rubber or how long they're going to last. It's a bloody minefield, tyres are. Because of the price of these things nowadays, which is not going to be cheap, it'd probably be worth picking a certain named brand, like Pirelli, say, and trying to do a bit of research on what tyres are the best ones for general road or whatever kind of conditions you're going to be driving on. Because you don't want to buy like a soft rubber tyre that's going to wear out in 5 minutes. Nuts. Ingerset, I'm considering a fairly low mileage Mondeo Mark 4.5 with 200 horsepower, 2.2 diesel and manual transmission. I will remap it as well. They are reliable engines. If they've been looked after, yeah, they're very good engines in actual fact. So we only had one or two of the 2.2s. We never saw them. They come in once in a blue moon to have an oil change and that. We never saw them again. They never give us no trouble. So I can't knock them. Mark III Mondeo, I think we've done that one. I'm trying to get through some of these comments so we don't get too far behind. Oh, flipping heck. See, this computer does my head in. The whole like screen on the web browser is now sort of like magnified into like 300 times bigger. There, that's better. Celeste POL. I have a little bit wet gearbox at the bottom. It's an engine oil. High pressure fuel pump is fine, no leaks. Do you think it is a rear crankshaft seal? It's your favourite DW10 engine. It's possible. I've not really had many leak. So, but I would definitely have a proper good look up above to make sure there's no leaks from up higher that's running down somewhere. Because a lot of leaks can drop from the top and work their way around. But it is possible. If it needed a clutch, then you'd obviously you could do it at the same time. But it's not an oil seal that tends to fail much at all. I mean, a lot of the cars we've got, they're real high mileage, and the rear main oil seals are not been a problem. So it depends how much it is, though. If it's only, I mean, a lot of cars, you'll get a little bit of surface oil around bed housing or something like that. If it's dripping, then you've obviously got a big problem. You need to get it sorted. But if it's just a bit of residue oil there, then I wouldn't worry. Get a bit of brake cleaner, squirt it off, and it will disappear. And don't worry about it for another 6 months. Have a look then. Chris Bell, PC technician. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? I don't think Mary's put the cover on the back of her computer yet. She's still playing around with it. Ford settled my claim out of court for the power steering rack issue. I sent you all the info on. I think I've still got that somewhere. I'll look that up again. I was supposed to be doing a video, wasn't I? I'll get round to that. But it's good they settled it, because they weren't taking any responsibility over here. They were in America, but over here they were saying there was no problem with them. There clearly was. I will say though, on all of the cars that Steve's Taxis has bought, not one of them has ever had a bolt break on the pump on the power steering electric motor. Although 3 or 4 of the cars he's bought out of auctions, they have. It's like nearly all of them. So I don't know why that is, but there is definitely an obvious problem with these motors breaking off the racks. So it's a good thing they've actually sort of like admitted it and paying people out for it now, because them racks are bloody well expensive. Skull 5 Mark 1 Nissan Micra again. Thank you for your comment. And yes, it is garaged. I've had it 3 years from previous owner, and I don't deliver features. No, I mean, if you've got a car like that and it's in really like mint condition, it's worth hanging on to. You'll probably get a good price for it when you sell it. They're getting rarer and rarer. Yep, dodgy shearing bolts. I mean, the last message. I wonder how far behind I'm getting on there. Chris McGuire, hi Chris. Thanks to you for doing videos. Watched one before I did the cam belt on my 2-litre TDCi, no problems at all. Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you've got the tools and you've got like the technical know-how, most people can do these jobs themselves. But obviously some people wouldn't even bother attempting it. It all depends how much time you've got. But if you're the kind of person that you like to have a go yourself and you get it done and you get it done right, you feel good because you've actually achieved something. Plus, you save yourself some money. But like I say, if you're not that confident, then don't take things like this on. Take them to a garage and have someone else do them for you. Grinder 1. Just to add to the FORScan chat, I use mine to monitor my DPF levels and use it on a couple of weeks ago to force a regen, which worked brilliantly and cleaned it to 5%. Yes, this is what I mean. You can monitor your DPF soot content, and it's like, I don't think I can even monitor that on my scanner unless I'm actually doing a regen. I can only see the data then. There's no option for it on my scanner until I'm actually doing a regen. But yeah, I'm going to have to get that FORScan, I think, eventually, because it's just, I kind of compared it to like, because I've never had it, but I know what you mean. It's like on cameras, on Canon cameras, you get a thing called Magic Lantern. It's like there's a bunch of guys who write all this software for extra things you can do. It's kind of similar, but yeah, everyone I speak to sort of like really rates FORScan. Suge just started working as a trailer technician. Thought being a mechanic it would be easy. Well, I was wrong. No, I should think trailers are pretty difficult. I should think there's all sorts goes wrong with them, especially like the electrics as well on them on them things. It's just like everything. There's so much to learn. No matter what you're doing, you'd be surprised at how much there is to actually sort of like take in. Rapid Man, best classic in my eyes. Runs no faults. 9.8 is very fast for age. Charlene Paul, hi Charlene. Can you do a video of a taxi MOT? I could. We're not allowed to MOT them because we'd be biased. We'd just pass them all, wouldn't we? We've got to take them. The way it works in our area, the council puts out to tender to all the various garages if they want to take on the taxi tests, and whatever garages apply to do the taxi tests, whoever wins it, they'll obviously do them. But because we run the taxi company, we have an MOT bay, we can't even apply for it because we'll just get rejected because they know we can't MOT our own cars. The council will not allow it. But a taxi test is pretty much the same as a normal Class 4 MOT, except they're paying a bit of extra attention to the interior, the seats and stuff like that, the cleanliness of the car, the bodywork. There are a number of other things, you know. It's plus they take it for a road test, listen for any noises. They can fail it if the clutch is rattling or the flywheel's rattling, things like that, because it's like carrying passengers around. And once again, it's one of these situations where a lot of the time the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency don't even get involved in this. It depends where you are in the country, because they're all different set of rules for wherever you are. You've got to go by whatever rules, whatever county you're in, and it can sort of like be confusing. But I could run through a normal MOT and sort of like point out a few extra bits that they probably would look at. But generally speaking, it's just bullshit, really. It's just looking at seats and upholstery and make sure they're all clean inside. But anyway, cheers for your question. I liked you from your mechanic videos. Now I love you for what you just said. I just said bullshit. Shawnee Hatch, what's the difference between the Mark IV Mondeo 2-litre TDCi Euro 4 and 5? What's the difference between the Mark IV Mondeo 2-litre TDCi Euro 4 and 5? Well, the Euro 5 is just sort of like, it's a newer model car, which will be a Mark 4.5, I should think. It's just more stringent emissions. They'll be more tighter on the emissions. That's all it comes down to. More electrical bullshit on your car to reduce your emissions. That's why we believe on the Mark V, which is Euro 6, is why you've got this huge, great big abomination of an EGR valve, because they're not running on AdBlue. So we were kind of figuring that this EGR valve is how they get around not using AdBlue on the Mark V. But there again, who wants to use that? It's the better. It's like, who wants to use AdBlue on their car anyway? It's like, it's horrible stuff. You put that stuff on the ground, it starts growing. It's like flipping mutating all over the place. It's horrible stuff. But there again, so is that EGR valve horrible. In a perfect world, if there wasn't no more all these climate alarmists and all that, you wouldn't need DPFs and CATs and all that. And all they're doing is restricting the engines, killing them, strangling them. Shawnee Hatch, in your last vid, love your vids. Oh, thank you very much. Error code 95A on an AC on a Mark IV. I don't know these off the top of my head. You'd have to Google it. Just Google the error code. Just type in 95A Mark IV Mondeo. If you've got the problem, know that somebody else has. Google it, and I'm sure there'll be a whole ton of people talking about that question, about that fault code. It'll be out there somewhere. Whether you'll get the answer to it or not is another thing, but there might, you never know. Paul Smith, hi Paul, only one vaccine needed. That's the cyanide one for government. Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Selling all that PPE to all their friends that had nothing to do with PPE. It just shows you the corruption, doesn't it? Susie B, I have the ESP light come on after I have been driving for a short distance on my Mark III ST. Would electrical contact cleaner help to correct this? I would probably sort of like, well, you need to know which because the ESPs are all tied into the ABS. So you'd have to scan it first to see what code's coming up to sort of like point you in the right direction. But I think the Mark IIIs, I'm pretty sure the actual ABS sensors are like earthed onto the wheel bearing hubs. I know on Mark V's they're not earthed, so they don't even have to be bolted on. But on the Mark IIIs, I'm sure they are, because if they ever got a bad earth and you come to braking, just before you stop, the ABS would kick in, your brake pedal would vibrate. So, but there again, you probably have to read the fault code first to kind of put you in some kind of direction where to start looking. But as electrical cleaner, I've used that stuff. It's pretty good stuff. Anything's worth a try. Can't knock you. I think you've just got to say what you think. Well, not all the time, obviously, but after a year of propaganda, it sort of like gets a bit much. You have to shut it on. You have to shut it out now. J Ash, I got a Transit Connect 2014. What's the recommended timing belt change? Transit Connect. Depends what engine's in it. If it's a 1.8, they're 125,000 miles. Shawnee Hatch, Euro 4 versus Euro 5 TDCI in your previous repairs. Oh, now we've got this bloody Jesus freak. Where do all these bots come from? I'd like to meet one of these freaks one of these days. They don't bring nothing to the table but bullshit. How far am I behind in all these? Aaron Deegan, my radiator fan is not running Mark 4 Mondeo. Power at fan module. Fan OK, reload. Could the coolant thermal switch be the issue? Where is it located in if it is suspect? I have heard that they get broken wires between the fans and like the ECU. So apparently there's a purple wire that breaks on them, but it's in the wiring loom and you've got to chase it back. It's going to be one of those things you're going to sort of like maybe look for where the loom comes down in front of the gearbox is probably the most suspect place. But it would be a case of tracing the wires back from the fan back into the loom, because they can get broken wires, and this is what can cause these kind of problems. Oh my God, I'm miles behind still. Douglas Hughes, I have a 2017 Mark 5 estate. Yeah, that's not a problem. If you want it serviced, we can do that. Yeah, that's easy enough. I don't like to stop on my Mark 5, come off the motorway after a run to a junction and stop, and it turns engine off. Not good for the turbo life, as I feel the turbo is still spinning excessively high. You remember them? I think they're like a lot of Japanese vehicles. When you switch the ignition off, the engine would continue to sort of like tick over for a little while before it, so many seconds before it actually switch off, just so the turbo can wind down to a reasonable speed. Because you're quite right there. I mean, it's like a lot of people they'll roar up to wherever they're stopping and just turn the key off just out of like habit. And if you don't know, you don't know, but the turbo is still spinning at a phenomenal rate. It's like, it's not, because the moment you switch the engine off, the oil feed to the turbo is cut. So it's still going to be spinning very fast. It's going to cause excessive wear over a period of time. I'm so tempted to be, well, you can pop in anytime. Come and have a coffee. You just have to come in the door and say, I've been watching you on YouTube. Get the kettle on. Shawnee Hatch, I have a question. Apart from my other one, got a slight knocking sound from passenger front. Would this be drop links? It could be. Drop links would be the obvious one. The little ball joint's worn out. Or a shock absorber, maybe bottom ball joint. You never know. You have to get it sort of like looked at. Does Mark 4 have thermo switch, or does it run off coolant temperature sensor like Mark 3? Mine stopped running, so I just retrofitted thermo fan controller. Easy way out. I think the first Mark 4s have a, yeah, they do. They've got a temperature sensor in the thermostat, but it's ECU controlled. So it's the ECU that's actually controlling it all. But yeah, I see what you're saying. My car on 30,000 miles. Oh, not even run in then. We don't class the cars run into. It's done 100,000. Village Retro. If you had a 2009 Mondeo 2-litre TDCi 140, it had no problems, 125,000 miles. It cost me 1,500 3 years ago. Is it still worth that now? Would you recommend paying the 450 for timing belt? Holy shit! Who's charging 450 for a timing belt? A Gates timing belt kit with water pump is probably would be less than 100, and I would have probably thought to fit it you're looking at 150 plus that. So it just seems a bit much. It's not exactly a difficult timing belt to do, actually. Yeah, I can think of a lot worse. But yeah, I mean, it's like, sounds like a good car. So you'd probably still get your money if it's good condition. You still get your money back for it. So if you need a timing belt doing, it's worth getting it done. Hi Steve. Mark III rear calipers are dirt cheap, not worth messing. Yeah, they are. That's what I'm saying. It's like you just buy new ones, remanufactured ones. Instrument cluster and Mark II Focus have dry solder joints on the boards. Causes a lot of problems. No start yet. Limp mode, power, steering fault. Yeah, there's all kinds of problems them instrument packs and them focuses cause. And but there's plenty of companies now that specialise in fixing them up. We've had to send quite a lot away, and they've caused all kinds of bloody issues, electrical issues all over the place. One of the first things we look at now is the instrument pack. Big Trucker UK. Live local to where your garage is. Do you offer car servicing? Yeah, if it's something we can do it. If it's a Mondeo, then we can do it. But yeah, no worries. Give us a call sometime. Miro, thank you for the great advice. Very helpful. Thank you very much. Urban Gentry, are you running EcoBoost engines in the taxis? No, we're not. We don't even have one. It's one of them engines. They're slowly replacing all the Z-Techs, and it's like I haven't had enough. I know they were a problem when they first come out. They were blowing up, but I haven't had any experience of them to give any kind of judgment at the minute. So if I ever get to that point where I do sort of like have anything to do with them, then I'll say something. But I can't judge at the minute. Yeah. Cheers, Colin. Shawnee Hatch, if your DPF blocked on Euro 4 2-litre, take DPF, take it down, jet out, and use some film cleaner. Jet for half hour, let dry, reset codes and force scan, reset DPF learning values. Yeah, I mean you can go down that route. On all our Mark IVs, we've never had to take one off and actually blow it out. I think we've done one once, but that was a separate problem. But normally we've just done forced regens and they've been fine, as long as they haven't got an issue that's still there causing them to get blocked in the first place. Because they should clean themselves, as long as there's no faults there. But it depends on what your driving is. You obviously need to go on some motorway travel at some point for them to do a regen anyway, because they're not going to do it around town. Silvestri, cheers. Yeah, I've just said about the EcoBoost. So I don't really know at the minute. We've not really had any. It's the crap, the EcoBoosts. There was something about the first ones that come out. They were some kind of water leak, and they're getting engines blown up right, left, and centre. That I heard, but I think they've rectified that problem. Eco booms. I've not heard good things, and I haven't had nothing to do with these engines, but no doubt time will tell. Ford don't seem to be making very good engines lately. Maybe they should sort of like carried on letting the bloody. I've never really had much good to say about French engines in the past. I always slated them, but I really can't slate these engines that have gone in the Mark IVs and the Mark Vs Mondeos. They've been never so good. Not everything that's bolted to them, but the actual engines themselves have been okay. But Ford seem to be making some sort of like ticking time bombs. Jason Thompson, hi Jason. From a wet and stormy Warrington. Well, don't worry. I got completely splattered as I got out of my van earlier, walking across Tesco's car park, and my feet had to go through water like that. I was like a bloody drowned rat in the shop. How do you know so much about Ford cars? That's all we've done. That's all we really work on, because all the cars we work on are taxis. So all we've done is like Mondeos for years. And anything else that comes through the doors, like a wow, this is something new. But no, that's all we do is Mondeos. Years and years of Mondeos. Why haven't you got a Mondeo? My mate crashed a Mark 1 and Mark 2, and he borrowed off his mother. Both cars went to the scrapyard. The funny thing is, it used to be a bit of a joke, but the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 Mondeos, it was like, can you actually spot one of them cars that hasn't got a smashed bumper on it? Because you only had to look at them things and they'd crack. Hi Steve, there is a recall on the Mark 5 power steering for a bolt replacement. We haven't had. Normally, the Ford would send out like a letter for all the cars, but we haven't received nothing at all. But we've never had one. We've never had a bolt break on them electric pumps. So I don't think it's going to matter now anyway. I think all the cars are going to get sold off in about a year's time. Craig Pearson, hi Craig, how are you doing? Flipping heck, it's nearly 10 o'clock. I'll tell you what, it's incredible how flipping fast time goes. It's a good thing I've got this bloody. I'll tell you what, I've done a video on this e-blue gaming chair, saying how bloody good it was. Well, the kid sat in this on his PlayStation through many happy hours, and this piece of crap leather, it's that false leather, and I didn't realise at the time, but it's all like, it all flakes off because it's paper thin leather. I was going to fling this chair out when he's finished a bit because he's got a new gaming chair, but I thought, do you know what, this chair is just the ticket for sitting here. Urban Gentry, girl at work had a Mondeo estate and it hurt into a wall. Girl at work had a Mondeo estate and it her into a wall. Okay. I think you made a spelling mistake there. You have to write that message again. Ben Masters, hi Ben. Mondeo Mark III 1.8 2006 runs like shit. Changed almost all sensors and actuators. Check for air leaks. Check chain timing. Red codes, no misfire codes, even just a few in mode. EGR valve. That'll make it run like shit if the valve is stuck open a bit. No, it's one of them things. You know, you can check this, that, and the other, and be at the end of your wits. And some smart aleck will come along and go, "That's the problem." There you go, and it'll probably be something really simple. Village Retro. My 4scan don't show DPF soot or carbon data. Never ever had a single DPF problem though. But why won't 4scan see the data? I've not got 4scan, but I think I know you get a free version, and there's another. You've actually got to pay for a subscription, or you pay for a lifetime's subscription of it. So it depends what version you've got, I reckon. I owe you a Costa coffee and lunch next time I'm passing your way on my travel, as you've saved me so much money with my Mondeo. Marie's more worried about you fixing her bloody computer. That's joking. No, that'd be great. Yeah, bring us in a Costa coffee. Come and have a coffee with us. Have a chat. Be nice. Patrick Moran. Hi, Patrick. Love your channel. My 2012 Mondeo Mark IV 2-litre diesel, 161 brake horsepower with 220,000 miles on the clock, is slow, lazy and sluggish as hell until 2000 RPM. No, it shouldn't really be slow and sluggish. But with 220,000 miles on it, I should think it's probably got a problem somewhere. I'd have to sort of like, I'd have to probably drive it to sort of like see how actually slow it is. But yeah, it'd probably be worth getting a mechanic to look at it. Did taxi tests? It's an extra ball ache over the normal. Well, it's not just that. It's in a lot of cases it's expensive. I know here in Huntingdon, flipping it, and they know how to charge. If an MOT test is what, £55 for a Class 4 MOT, a taxi test is I'm not actually sure. It's more than £350 for a test, and it's the council that gets the money. It's not the actual testing station. Fated. I can't say your name. Well, hello. What's your take on this green carbon plan by the government and all sale of petrol and diesels banned in 2030? I reckon it's bullshit. Well, I reckon that's the way they're all going, because they all want a virtual signal to each other, don't they? They're all trying to save the planet. Well, in fact, they're not doing jack shit to save the planet, but they all want to make out they are. That's what the problem is. You see, this would open up an entirely new conversation about saving the planet and how they're going about saving the planet, which generally involves doing more harm than actually saving the planet. But anyway, maybe for another day. Shawnee Hatch, Mark Mondeo PFI versus FI engine. I'm not really versed on them engines. Can't really help on that one. Ethan Jeffs, hi Alan, great videos. I've got a 2012 Titanium X Sport and the cruise control buttons are intermittent. Do you think they're able to be cleaned? If you can take them out, just blow them with an airline and spray some electrical cleaner on them. It's worth a shot. I think they just get sticky connections. But that electrical cleaner in the spray can is ever so much good stuff. We use that quite a bit. Nicholas, hi Nicholas. Whoop, and I've lost my Susie B. Continuing the ESP, I have no fault codes displayed. I mean to use electrical cleaner on the connector. It certainly occurs much quicker since my clutch was replaced. Yeah. You've obviously got a problem somewhere. It's just going to be finding it. It's worth it. You're not going to do any harm. You can just pull connectors off, spray some electrical cleaner on, and put them back on. You're not going to do any harm. So it's worth a try. Nicholas Smith, I've lowered a Mark IV Mondeo estate on coilovers. Does this make me go? You'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised. Some people like the logo. What do they call it? The cow look? Yeah, some people like that. Rick Rosier, hi mate, got a 2019 Transit Custom. They say the cam belts go. What do you think? I've heard the same thing. If it's the Eco Blues, they got wet belts. What's up, camera? Keep going out of focus. I keep hearing that these wet belts break well below the 140,000 miles they're supposed to be changed at. So I would beware. I would actually get them done earlier, because a new engine for one of them Transits is going to be an absolute fortune. To top it all, to change them wet belts on your Transit engine, if it's front wheel drive, they're a horrible job to do and an expensive one. If it's rear wheel drive, they're easier to do, but they're not a cheap job. It's going to be an expensive cam belt change, wet belt change. Michael Pierce, on the Mark V Mondeo, a fuel pressure problem, and it was the engine ECU, cost £50 for a second-hand one, and had Ford IDS to program it. Yeah, that's what ours turned out to be in the end. We had high fuel pressure, and it was making the fuel run back out through the leak-off pipes after you switched the ignition on, and it was really bizarre problem. And even when we got the engine running with the dodgy ECU in it, the engine was knocking and rattling and bloody all sorts. And yeah, but that's the good thing about them. That's what we done. We got a second-hand ECU off eBay, just matched the numbers up, took it down our Ford garage, and they reprogrammed it to the car, the second-hand ECU, and it started up and it ran absolutely perfect. And that car's still going strong now. But yeah, that's a great result. But we have had, over the time we've had these Mondeos, we've had a number of ECU problems now. So, but I think a couple of them have actually been done under warranty. 25 minutes behind chat from the Jesus spammer. Where do these lot flipping come from? These Jesus flipping. I don't even know what they're trying to say. Hard for you to keep up due to the amount of questions. Keep up the great work. Cheers, Martin. Have you ever thought what the hell Ford was thinking using Peugeot engines? I don't. It comes down to money. That's what it comes down to. We've been told they got the Peugeot engines because they can't build an engine cheap enough, and Peugeot can. So that it's cheaper for Ford to buy the engines off Peugeot and fit them rather than build their own engine. But the engines they're putting, like the Mark IVs and Mark Vs, they're good engines. They certainly were in the Mark IV. The Mark V, because of like the Euro 6 emissions, they've got all the extra electrical crap on them, like the EGR valve and the electric thermostat housings and all this. These are all the bits that are failing. It's not the engine itself. So I don't know. I can't really knock the Peugeot engines. They are well-built engines, but like, once again, it's all the emission-related crap they bolt onto them that's going wrong, which is causing so many headaches. Carlos Araya, hi Carlos. I'm curious. You've got Mark IV estate and considering upgrading to Mark V estate, but I feel the boot is so much smaller. We don't have any estates. All we've got is hatchbacks. But the boot in the hatchback's pretty good. I would have thought the estate boot would have been pretty big. I can't tell you. We haven't even had an estate here. I think what you're best doing is, if you're passing any garages and you see any estates for sale, just pop in and have a little nosy round it, have a look. Have you had any issues with the washer fluid pump on the Mark IV facelift cause the BCM to become faulty? No. No, I can't see that, because you've got like the ECU here, and you've got the washer bottle here, and the pump's on the front. So even if the pump was leaking water, it's not going to get onto the B. It's not going to get onto the. No, that's body control module. No, the body control module is inside the bloody under the dashboard, under the passenger side dashboard. So no, I've not had any problems whatsoever with any kind of leak or anything in there. So no. Ford dealer quote 450 for belt, pump and coolant. Yeah, I mean that's you'd expect to pay that from a main dealer, from a Ford dealer. If you go to a backstreet garage, you would probably get it cheaper than that. But at least if you go to Ford, you've definitely got comeback if they do it wrong. But generally, the Ford guys who work at the main dealers, that's what they're dealing with most of the time. So if you're prepared to pay that, that is probably about right for a main dealer. So yeah. MN Mechanic, hi Alan. I'm buying a Mondeo 2-litre diesel 2009. What do I need to replace after buying to run the car for the next 7 to 8 years? Well, assuming the cam belt's been done, because you can kind of state that when you buy the car, can you make sure it's got a new cam belt on it? That's the big one. All you've really got to do is, there's not much on them really. There's nothing. It's not like cars of old where you had to adjust the points and set the bloody valve timing and ignition timing and all that, and then tune the carburetor. All you've got to do these days is change your oil and filter. Get good quality, proper oil and filter for these cars, what's supposed to go in them. Change that every sort of like 6,000 to 12,000 miles, and that's it. Done. What a fuel filter every 30,000 miles. They're quite a big fuel filter on them cars. They last. It takes a long time for them to get blocked up, and an air cleaner element maybe every 50,000. So that's about it. Hello, Spain. Well, hello there, Eduardo. How is it going in Spain? I hope your weather's better over there. All we've got here is rain at the minute, although it's still quite warm over here. We've got a little bit of a summertime. Timo Wallin, if there is some metal, then regeneration doesn't clear it. That's what the flush comes in. Oh yeah. We have transits in for engines almost every week under warranty. Yeah, I mean, we've got some transits here, but they ain't got that much mileage on them. Although I do hear that the EGR valves in these transits are not exactly sort of like reliable. I've not changed one yet myself because all the ones we've had changed and go faulty have been done under warranty. And I think we had a steering rack pack up as well on one of our transits, which was like 17 plate, but it was still under warranty at the time. Plastic pipe cracks and drain system of coolant was for it now, but they suffer with head failures and crankshaft bearings picking up the cracking cranks. Yeah, plastic pipe cracks. Yeah, this is the EcoBoost, isn't it? Yeah, I've not heard many good things about them engines. Are your EcoBlue Tornio Customs been reliable? A couple of them, most of them, I think there's 3 or 4 of them. They're all around about 50,000 miles, apart from one, which has done, oh God, I don't know what it's on now, 160, 170,000. We've done the belts on it. It's been reasonably reliable. It's had a clutch and flywheel and all that, and God knows how many sets of brake pads on it. It's had a few warranty issues, but generally speaking, it's been okay. Not too bad. But that's just one. On the other ones, the mileage is still not really high enough to be causing problems. I think the main problem we've had on all these transits is the EGR valves at the minute. Have been the main problem. Shot for this $2. Most Jews are liberal. Cheers. Be down as a customer. Complaint before they rectify the bolts. Yeah. The trouble is, it's a lot of cars to take to Ford and say we've got a problem when we haven't got nothing wrong with them. I'll ask, actually. I'll find out. Just to be on the safe side. Click on this link. Right, how far am I behind? Robert Mustard, I'm very good, Robert. How are you, mate? Is this the one I was reading earlier? Girl at work had a Mondeo estate and steering failed and put her into a wall. Was still drivable, but you would drive it in a straight line, fine, and suddenly the car would just set off to one side. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that can happen sometimes with these steering things when they go wrong. Yeah, not good. £110 was in 2015 Bolton for taxi test. Yeah, that's a lot cheaper than what it is here. Alan Wooden. Hi, Alan. How are you doing? Thank you very much. Barry Jones. Do you think buying a new Mondeo today will give us problems in the future with emissions like the London emission zone? If you've got a Euro 6, it shouldn't do. But you know how they're going. They're all going electric, aren't they? You see, you don't really know what's going to happen. Like I say, they're trying to do away with all petrol and diesels now. And if you want to go electric, I think everyone can afford an electric car. even though they haven't got the infrastructure for all these charging points yet. I don't see how it's going to work. But yeah, who knows? Tony Rays, hi Tony. Was it the average miles per gallon would you get on a Mark III Ford Mondeo 2-litre TD 6-speed manual? Oh blimey! I would have thought you'd. I'm not really sure, but I think on all these Mondeos you should get at least between 45 and 55 miles to the gallon on the motorway easily, no problem. Bloody hell, my van, my bloody old van would do that on the motorway. That's doing like under 60, about 55 miles an hour though. Another spammer. Another spammer. Shorty Hatch, thanks for the answer questions. Thank you. One day I might actually get through all these questions, but I doubt it. Technically not a Peugeot, as it's slightly modified from the French version. Tazio2, have you come across any bonnet release cables failing on Mark IV? I haven't on the Mark V, but I have on the Mark IV. They do fray on the Mark IV, just below the latch under the bonnet. They fray and they snap. And the first sign of them starting to stick, you want to get the latch out and get to that cable and give it a good dousing in oil and grease. Because if the cable breaks and you have to replace it, they're a horrible job. Absolutely horrible. It's not just the fact you've got to take the battery tray out, it's the fact that getting through the bulkhead and the carpet and all the lagging under there and the passenger compartment is a right pain to get through. Oh my God. I think we're at the end of the comments. Plum 007, hi, how you doing? Euro 5 was coming, EU legislation, Volvo, Peugeot and Ford all developed the engine together to get the engine on quickly. I read somewhere. Well, anything that was slung together quickly ain't going to be good. Steve, Mark III D will give 50 miles per gallon average and 60, yeah. Burn CDM, good evening, how are you? Is that Manchester United? I used to support them. I used to watch them. They'd always bring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out in the dying minutes. And generally speaking, he'd score a goal. This was going back into the 1990s, though. I think the Toyota hybrids are very good. I think they're very well built. Some of the drivers have got them, the owner drivers, and you never hear from them. So they must be doing something right. Grinder One, good night to you. Thanks for joining. Thank you very much. Saddle Saw, thank you very much as well. It's been a long time since I've watched football, but back in the day, I did used to love watching Manchester United. I know they won the triple one year. I can't remember what year that was now. It was exciting though. With the BCM and washer pumping, I'm sure you mean that the PCM, the powertrain control module, is the one that's bolted to the washer pump on the passenger side of the bumper. The BCM, which is a body control module, that's underneath the passenger side dash. The water made its way through the cable installation and to the BCM. I've never seen that happen. Never. No. Barry, thanks for joining. What is the interval for a time belt on a 1.25 petrol Fiesta 2013? I'm currently set at 54. I'm pretty sure it's 100. It's 100,000. 100,000 miles or 10 years. They're pretty reliable. Right, guys, I'm going to call time. I've been flipping sat on my goddamn arse for too long. I'll be like this. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining in tonight. I will try and do this again on Wednesday, next Wednesday, unless I get nothing during the weekend or something. I might just pull a freak live show just for something to do. But it's a pleasure, and I love all you lot joining in and flinging the questions out. It feels an evening for me as well, something to do, as I do not watch the TV anymore. I'd only be sitting here sort of like going to sleep and listening to a playlist on YouTube or something. So thank you everybody for joining in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya. I'm going to end the broadcast. I'm going to press the big red button. So cheers everybody.